Good morning from beautiful Swift Current, Saskatchewan, Canada. And you see the prairie land of this beautiful prairie province in Saskatchewan, hometown to the province's premier, Brad Wall. Is the town busy with activity, with the world converging. Don't know how you got here, by plane, car, or maybe a train. It runs right through Swift Current, and all leads inside the Credit Union iPlex as the 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championships continue. We are into day 3, so we bring you inside. Luke Coley, Hans Frauenlob. It is another day, and draw 6 now upon us. Japan taking on Denmark. The teams being marched out onto the ice surface, a full slate of games, and we're right in the thick of things. Coming into Monday, anything important leading for a team at this stage?
Well, when I competed, Luke, we always thought about the third day of the tournament as kind of positioning day. You've had a couple of games, and so you've got 3 games under your belt. You know what the ice is doing, and you get starting to settle out the standings, and at the end of the day, you're kind of halfway through the round robin. So it's a very important day for both of these teams in terms of their playoff aspirations later in the week. And we see some of the crowd here this morning on a Monday morning in Swift Current, the curling heartland of Canada.
Bringing in some of these school kids to see these teams and become a favorite among the people of Swift Current and the local fans. Team Japan, a lot of smiles in them, and Denmark has been a lot of tight games, all 1-point games for them through their first 3. Let's meet these teams. Lead, Charlotte Clemenson. Their second, Stephanie Risdal. The third started out as the alternate, now stepping into play after game 1, Madeline Dupont. And their skip, Lene Nielsen, no stranger to the world scene. They'll take on Japan with their lead, Yurika Yoshida. Second, Yumi Suzuki. Their third, Shinami Yoshida. Having fun as they always do. A lot of fun out on the ice, and their skip, Satsuki Fujisawa. And why wouldn't you be happy with the record that they have? They sit right atop, along with Team Canada. 3-0 records, followed by 4 teams with the over 500 record. Germany, Russia, Scotland, and Switzerland all sit at 2-1. Then on the second page, Denmark, Finland, Korea, and Sweden all with a win. 2 losses, and then Italy and the U.S. both sit looking for their first victory. In this Monday morning, other games going on. Sheet A has Canada taking on Russia, an important game there, while we're on Sheet B right next door. At Sheet C, those 2 winless teams, one will get their first, USA, Italy, and on Sheet D, it is Switzerland taking on Finland, an all-European affair there.
Well, you mentioned the Japanese team was smiling in the intro, Luke, and why wouldn't you be smiling when you're 3-0?
And 3 impressive victories. They've got up to some leads, held on to it. A win over Finland, a win over Italy, a win over Russia. And I thought Russia would be a test, and they went away past that test with flying colors. An A+ for a 6-1 victory, a game they completely controlled.
Oh, absolutely. They've been fantastic front runners. It'll be interesting to see if they get tested and have to come from behind in a game, but they haven't been in a position yet where they've really trailed in any significant way. So, yeah, very impressive start for the Japanese and an important day for them here today. Conversely, Denmark, they're 1-2, and if they're looking at being in the top 4 by the end of the week, this is a very important game for them. You don't really want to fall to 4 losses at the end of the second day. Otherwise, you're really having to run the table to have a chance to stay in it.
Now, do you say must win? Must win for them?
Well, it's not quite in the must-win category, but getting pretty close to that. Denmark really would be thinking, as you say, they've played very close games. In the back of their mind, they'd be thinking we could be 3-0 ourselves.
All 1-point game, 2 extra end games. 1 win, 1 loss. And then the loss last night to Switzerland, 7-6. As Yurika Yoshida will get things started here. Of course, Denmark will have the hammer, winning the last stone draw.
And that last stone draw is how the teams determine the hammer, and some uncharacteristically weak performance from the Japanese in the last stone draw. One of them missed the house, and the other one was in the back of the 12-foot, so we'll see if they can find their draw weight here in the first end. First one was a nice one. There's Charlotte Clemenson.
Well, has played every game at the lead position. Some lineup changing for them. Obviously a little different team than was at the Europeans that qualified for this. Bringing their alternate Madeline Dupont after their first game into action. It seems like this is their lineup probably for the course of the week, depending on how things play out.
Well, if you need to bring in an alternate, Madeline Dupont is a pretty handy alternate to bring in. She's got Olympic experience, World Championship experience, and so she'll be a solid influence on this Danish team. Here's Yoshida playing the takeout. Really working this one early, though. Got a piece, but I'm not sure if they're going to stick around.
Well, rolls out of the rings. So a quiet hit for Yorika Yoshida. Means Clemenson, opportunity. They could put up a corner. They're electing just to draw into the house. Keep things open in this first end. Charlotte Clemenson out of Copenhagen.
A lovely, lovely city, Copenhagen. If you like cycling, it's probably one of the best places in the world to ride a bike. Winds up being a corner guard.
Well, there's the corner guard.
Be interesting to see how the Japanese deal with this. We talked yesterday about them playing the percentages, and so they're not fooling around. They're just going to eliminate it.
Yumi Suzuki doesn't want to stick around. And stays out in front, so there's a guard. Something if Denmark wants to use.
Denmark's experienced skip, Lenny Nielsen, is doing exactly that. They're going to take a shot around this corner, even though it's really wide. Here's Stephanie Risdal. Teams seem to be fighting the draw weight here a little bit early here, Luke. Again, coming up light. Sweepers working it, though. They might get a piece of the rings. Oh, very nice sweeping just to even get it close, and I do think they got a piece. Well done.
Yeah, I was thinking along the same lines there, Hans, that I didn't think it was going to get into the house. That's a wide side of the house. You don't throw that in practice. You're throwing everything basically to the center as we look at the rules of play. 6 ends minimum, 38-minute thinking time. So it won't be while the stone is in delivery, and 160-second timeout throughout the game.
So you could see the impact of sweeping there on that last shot, dragging it into touch the rings. If you're new to curling, the stone has to be touching at least a part of the rings to be eligible to score. Wow, precision again from this great Japanese team. Pushing it back, but have they got enough weight to push it out of the rings? Wow.
And just enough. They got around that one to the nose and tapped that one back. It's a halfway guard.
It was really delicate, and boy, it almost backfired on the Japanese. Watch this. As they sweep it around the guard, they're actually sweeping now to have it curl more, and it actually over curls, pushing that red stone straight back. Leaving their own there is still as a corner that the Danish can use. I think slightly down weight there from Suzuki might have fooled Satsuki Fujisawa a little bit calling line. Sweepers working it hard to try and get a piece of the rings, and they do, but not buried this time.
Seen Japan flirt with trying to getting around. You want to roll to the open side, or is that stone in the back part a possible jam?
Well, it's far enough off the rings at the back. The jam is a risk, and so it would be quite bad luck if you jammed and it left the Danish stone on the rings, but it is a possibility. Here's fan favorite Chinami Ashida. Removes the Danish stone, bounces on the inside off her own, so something for Denmark to work with, but those Japanese stones are very close to the rings.
Yeah, I thought they might try and roll into the rings, bring play away from the corner a bit without the hammer in this first end. Look at the ice given here for Madeline Dupont. Of course, silver medalist at the World Championship. 2007, losing the final to Team Canada. She was throwing fourth stones that year.
Yes, lots and lots of international experience. This draw is really breaking now. Little light.
Okay.
So again, the draw weight is fooling the players a little bit here early. So a choice here for Japan. Now you can kind of go for the force if you're a little bit brave. Just come around that corner yourself.
Well, from early on, this Japanese team has been fearless. They haven't had a problem making this play.
Yeah, they've been very confident in where they can place stones. Fujisawa pat the top of the 12-foot, so she's saying if we haven't got great line, just sitting it high, choking off that corner guard's a good second option. A lot of discussion between the players and the sweepers about the weight. I think they're all a little bit concerned that all these draws are coming up a little bit light, so they're just double checking.
Well, just take a look at the time there. You see in the bottom right, the hog-to-hog timing of this one. We've seen right around 14.
That's all over the guard.
Weight was fine. Just
weight was pretty good.
Have the line to get around.
So a good chance here for Denmark to take their own shot. Those guards are creeping towards the 4-foot circle. Here's Madeline Dupont. Curling is a really quite a family affair for her. Sister Denise, brother Oliver, both have represented Denmark.
Definitely have space around that one, going further and further away.
Well by the guard, still high in the house, however. So Denmark lies one, but a good chance here for the Japanese to chap and lie. A little hit and roll behind those guards. Satsuki Fujisawa, the Japanese skip. This team from Tokoro on the island of Hokkaido, the northernmost island in Japan.
Skipping in her second World Championship. Finished 7th in 2013. But in that round robin play did defeat Lene Nielsen and Team Denmark. Of course, different team members, but the skips were the same. Right on the nose, doesn't get the little flip.
It's a good spot, however. It chokes off those corner guards, so it'll be very difficult for Denmark to get inside that one and roll to the inside. So Lene Nielsen is just going to try and remove this one and roll it away from the action. Danish skip Lenny Nielsen had the honor of carrying the Danish flag into the opening ceremonies of the Sochi Winter Olympics.
Went on to a 6th place finish. So second appearance at a world or an Olympic Winter Games.
Roll this a little bit away from the guards, rolls it to the center line. Pretty good shot.
But there's a room now.
You can got a couple of ways you can get behind those guards. You can just roll there. Plus, if you're throwing some heat and spills towards those yellows, you might get a little bit of action off those yellow corner guards. And there's lots of house to roll to because you've got a real fence of guards there. So she can roll anywhere from the 8-foot to the 12-foot and still be behind cover. Yoshida's on it early, trying to hold the line. They want the roll, but they're worried about it over-curling. Have they got contact?
Make sure you get rid of it.
She
and
actually flashes it. Unbelievable.
Well, Lenny Nielsen didn't think that was going to be the situation and went to thinking maybe she may have to draw for one, and now.
Well, we talked about how's this Japanese team going to react to having to recover from trailing in a game, and they're about to be trailing in the game. They're going to drop one. Here we see Yoshida desperately trying to hold the line, but look at that stone just brushing by the Danish shot rock. So a very rare open miss for Fujisawa.
Lenny Nielsen won the hammer in the first end, now trying to convert, score too early on in an early lead in this game.
Both sweepers on it. You just have to hit the paint. And they do, so it's a 2 for Denmark here in the first end. Open miss from Japan, but capitalized on by Lenny Nielsen and her Danish teammates. And after one end of play, Denmark 2, Japan no score.
Nice. Pas på låget. Ja, så er godt. Også rød dernede.
Well, look inside, a good crowd here for a Monday morning. Swift Current, Luke Coley, Hans Frauenlob, thanks for tuning in to our coverage. 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championship.
Monday morning and a rude awakening for the Japanese in the first end.
We're flying high and didn't seem like anything was going to phase them. We'll see how they respond. Denmark, we know they bounce back. They've back and forth throughout their first 3 games, 2 extra end games. Losing on last shot last night to Switzerland. And get an early 2 on the miscue by Satsuki Fujisawa.
So it's a confident reply from the Japanese. Danish throw a center guard, and Fujisawa immediately says, okay, let's put up a corner of our own. So there's going to be lots of guards in play in this end.
It seemed Japan had lots of options, chances in that first end to get one behind cover and try and get that force. So we're still talking about it being a force in that first end.
Corner guard comes to rest, so we're off to the races.
As they see those two, we'll look over first end, Canada, Russia. And there was a 2 in the first end in our game that really wasn't set up. Similar here as a jam by Chelsea Carey.
So Anna Sidorova looking to recover from yesterday's loss to Japan.
This intern heavyweight little tap and roll. Have to avoid the stone in the back. Chance to take an early 2-0 lead in that game. Well, delicate shot, little roll, and lovely. Russia able to get an early 2. A good start for them in that game after a loss yesterday.
So, early intrigue here on the Monday morning draw at the 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championships. Wherever you're joining us around the world, we're glad you're with us. Nice come around there by the Danes. So it's all on here in end number 2. Japan with the hammer. Yurika Yoshida looking to reposition one of these stones, either the center guard or the shot rock.
I'll just touch it over. Really hope to have this stone stick around. There's a different style of that tick shot. Normally you see it late in the game, team with the hammer there used to just move that one off the face.
That's a very good play by the Japanese. It's an aggressive play because by playing the tick now and leaving another stone up in front, you're increasing the risk, but moving that guard off the center line, it's now more of a corner guard that they can use themselves, and leaving their shooter out there on the side means the Danes have to play at it. Well, they don't have to, but it's certainly what the Danes are doing here. So an interesting end shaping up here.
Well, moving it off the center now, Japan has had comfort playing away from the corners, or pardon me, away from the center. Jump over, USA, Italy. Looks like the U.S. has that biter in the back to lie 2, forcing Federica Apollonio draw for a single point.
Both of these teams looking for their first win.
And Italy was down big in their game yesterday and really came back, clawed back, had the potential winning points in the house, but it was Finland able to defeat them. Here, enough get it into the 8-foot. Look at that one curl. It's in. Italy gets their 1. The U.S. gets their 4. Still have the hammer heading to the second end. That's right next door on sheet C.
And there we saw Yumi Suzuki on an attempted hit and roll again over curling. So the Japanese are getting fooled a little bit early by the amount of curl on these hits. They had great success yesterday controlling the amount of curl with their sweeping, but today the stones seem to be moving a bit more, and it's really fooling them early. That one rolled away. So another free shot for the Danish here to come around that guard and really set up a force. Early advantage Denmark, I'd say. Clemenson desperately trying to sweep it by the guard, really working it hard, but she just feathers. So those 2 Danish stones just off the center line represent both an opportunity and a threat for the Japanese. There we'd look at the Japanese bench, coach J.D. Lind and alternate player Mari Motohashi. Looking on.
Was that a case you saw just the one sweeper going on? I don't think that had the weight it needed in order to get there. That you're thinking you got to hold the line that one sweeper is going to do it. Maybe if both get on.
I agree. I think that one should have been pounded by both players coast to coast.
And then Basil might have been able to get it by and hold the line at the same time. It's that new decisive decision of calling and how you judge the sweeping.
especially in a situation where you've watched stones come up light.
And this one over curling on Team Japan. And Yumi Suzuki had perfect weight.
Yeah, so definitely some misreads happening from Team Japan here. There we see Danish coach Ulrich Schmidt and alternate Isabella Clemenson.
Trying to figure out if his binoculars are still working.
Yep, zoom in on me.
We'll be keeping an eye on not just his sheet, but a lot of the coaches looking at other sheets for what stones are being played. If there's a tendency with certain stones being thrown by certain players.
Okay.
Enough to lie too, but
little smile from DuPont there. She says, okay, I'm behind the guard, but I didn't really want to go behind the tee line.
Well, all rock placement, and they have that stone out in front. Important to those stones in that control position.
Looks to me like Japan's going to try and throw about hack weight at this shot rock and roll it over away from those center guards, but keep it in the 8-foot for shot. So they've got contact. How far is it going to roll? It's rolling over into the 8-foot. Very nice shot.
And shot stone it is, back 8-foot.
So we've got 4 sheets of action here today. We're going to take a look at the Switzerland-Finland game.
See those 2 finish stones in the back part of the 8-foot. Meaning Vinja Felcher will have to go with the wide out turn, draw to the 4-foot to the button. Score a single point. We'll need the curl to use backing, and they needed it. I think that one would have been hitting the hacks if it didn't hit that one.
That one might still be going.
But 1-0, Switzerland leading Finland, and they play in the second. Meanwhile, as they hitting a little flop back by Denmark and Madeline DuPont, Chinami Yoshida.
So now with that stone sitting off the center line, a bit of a change of gears here from Team Japan. They're going to try and run at this second Danish shot and roll it over across the stone on the 4-foot, but they're really having to work hard to hold the line. They don't want to hit their own.
Well, red, roll in front. Go. And we'll just stop shot stone.
They would have loved that roll to sit in front of that red rock. It rolled across the face. We see them sweeping here to hold the line. They had to get it past their own. They get the contact, roll across the face behind that center guard, but unfortunately for the Japanese, leaves a very inviting pocket to draw to for Denmark, and real opportunity for Denmark to force the Japanese here in this end, maybe even steal.
Well, looking at with that replay, not sure if you're even able to make the shot they were looking for because of where they hit. They hit about as much as they could see.
Yeah, they would have had to play maybe, it was probably 6 feet heavier weight than they needed to be able to make that shot. The roll would have had to have a lot less momentum. So yeah, very gutsy call.
Still forces Lene Nielsen after that shot stone. First of skip stones in this second end.
They're by the guard. How deep is it going to go? Nice stone there by Lene Nielsen.
Now it took a while to find that perfect draw shot. Happens here in the second for Lene Nielsen.
Well, they're definitely finding the range now. And a real dilemma for Team Japan. We can see there in their shot, the shot stone of the Danes is perfectly buried behind that center guard. Ordinarily, this Japanese team would probably just run to that front stone and play a run back, but problem with that, they've got their own stone in the back of the forefoot, which would jam. There we see on our overhead, there's that center guard. They could try to drill that red back across the face of the red one, but that's a risky shot. Might be the only option that they've got at this point, though. They could try to angle run in their yellow off the wing. Again, low percentage shot and out there in a part of the ice that they haven't really seen.
Is that yellow one maybe a last shot effort if needed?
It's either that one or a jump off their own yellow stone on the right-hand side of the screen now in the 12-foot circle to roll into the back of the button. Both of them are pretty low percentage. On this shot, being her first shot of the end, Fujisawa is just going to try and give herself a shot on her last, so she has to deal with one of those guards. So it looks like it is going to be the run back on that center guard.
Now she hits it right, she can get all three of these reds?
She can. She'd have to throw it really hard, though, and let's see where they get contact on that front stone.
Not right out of her hand.
Trying to hit it just on the high side. There's one.
Get one.
There's two.
Jams it on the back. An unfortunate result because it leaves it shot stone.
Yes, that was the danger. They had those two stones in the back of the forefoot, and the risk of the jam was always there. Needed to be just a little bit further on the high side of that contact point to drive it on a different angle, but you see there the jam on that shot in the back four leaves Denmark lying one quarter frozen.
And center line guard. Now they can draw into lie two and really choke off that scoring zone and make life miserable for Japan.
Yeah, it's totally push the button go time now for Denmark. Linne Nielsen just threw down this path on that first shot of hers. If she can drill the front button here, as you say, Luke, life will look very, very difficult for the Japanese. Good looking weight. Looking forward to curl. And that is just about perfect. Great shot from Linne Nielsen.
All they got is the side of the button. Play off your side one. Run back, all risky shots.
We've got a great angle here behind the playing sheet. And again, a gutsy call, but there is a straight run back on that yellow stone. She could double off the two red stones and score three, but very high risk. We see they're looking at the jump shot off their own to try and probably cut the Danes down and just give Denmark one.
Well, the draw is no picnic either to try and get right to the button.
The draw, she could come in sideways and try to get it to the pin. That would be a shot that you'd consider talking to the teammates. Do we draw here? That's an option. It's the kind of option their teammates are going to come down and consult.
Well, just played the run. To me, that looks like the call. Yeah, it's risky. You could give up steal at two, but the reward is you hit it perfectly. There's a small chance you could get three.
The shot is definitely there for three. If you're drawing, it's a pretty tough shot. If you're drawing, you're saying, okay, pretty happy to cut them down to one and go down 3-0. If you're trying to play the run back, as it looks like they're going to do, you're saying, okay, well, probably dropping one anyways. Let's take the chance. So fasten your seatbelts, folks.
Satsuki Fujisawa, the final shot of this second end, looking for the raised double.
Again, neat contact a little bit on the high side, but I think this one may be over curling.
Well, did they get any of them? We'll miss both, and a 2-point steal by Denmark. The risk was that, the steal of two. And not sure if she ever got out there to give it a chance.
So the Japanese gamble and come up short. And it's a big steal of two. And early in the game, the Danes dominant, leading this one 4-0 after 2 ends.
And they'll still need to keep the pressure on. They had a 4-0 lead earlier this week and let it slip. We'll find out what they do. Well, you see the score in behind the 2 skips as we play the 3rd end. The 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championship. We are in Swift Current for the 2nd time, hosted back in 2010. Here, 2016. We start the Olympic qualification system for all the nations to get to Korea in the 2018 Olympic Winter Games. Every game crucially important towards that. Obviously, love to get to the playoffs and give themselves a chance at the World Championship title. Japan at 3-0, taking on Denmark 1-2.
Well, that's right, Luke. Every team here will earn qualification points depending on their final ranking at the end of the week. So, yep, every win's important. But this Japanese team, we talked earlier off the top of the broadcast about them leading every game and wondering what would happen if they had to come from behind in a game and fight back. Right now they'll be reeling. They missed an open hit in the 1st end to give the Danes a 2. Got themselves in trouble with that hit and roll, creating a pocket in the back 4, and Lenny Nielsen drilled 2 perfect come-arounds, and bang, Japan, you're down 4. So if you're the Japanese now, it's a big test of resilience. You're pushing the reset button, seeing if you can get back in this game.
But 4-0, we'll see if the pressure stays on. Denmark let a 4-0 slip in their 1st game against Canada. Sure hoping to not have that one game be the reason missing a playoff berth. Coming in at 1-2, they've been very competitive. And that one looked like it picked something and came up well short as we'll look over Switzerland, Finland, Una Kausta. Chance sure to score 2. 1-2 record, trying to even themselves with Switzerland if they can pull off the victory. Vinja Felcher missed a run back with her last, and Una now the opportunity to draw in, score 2. Well, needs the forefoot, and Kausta good to get it right there and scores 2, so an early 2-0 lead for the Finns.
All right, here we go. Corner guards in play.
This is where we've seen in the games we've done of Japan success, where they put the corner and they come around right away. They've made those come arounds and got the opponent chasing.
That's right, Luke. In other games, Japanese sweeping has done a really great job of navigating stones into good positions. And Lenny Nelson tipping her cap and saying, yeah, that one's too good. Let's get rid of the corner guard. But this is a smart play when you're up 4. Last thing you want to do is give your opponent a shot at 3.
peels the guard, trying to roll it right off. And that one will get right over to the side.
That's it.
Job done. We'll look over, see a couple of yellow Italian stones in USA, Italy. Both teams at 0-3, and Erica Brown, they had a rough one yesterday, to say the least, against Team Canada. An important bounce back day for Team USA. Trying to tie things up with the open draw.
13-7, just keep her clean.
They'll play Italy this morning and then Scotland this evening.
Very nice, Erica.
And it's good, so single points for the first two, 1-1.
Okay.
Back here in our feature game, we see the Japanese now attempting to use the center guards themselves, but again, an attempted draw over curls and Rex on that front guard.
The first couple days, they were really happy and comfortable, feeling a feel for the ice, and it doesn't seem like they're in that same position today.
No, they're definitely misreading the amount of curl. We've seen missed hits, Rex on draws, so whatever system they had grooved yesterday for reading the ice has gone slightly off the wheels today. Chance for the Danes here to roll behind cover. Fujisawa sweeping it to the back of the 12-foot and then out from behind the cover. So it will be available to the Japanese on the out turn, but I suspect Fujisawa at this point will just say, let's use these guards.
Well, do you like the out turn here, the way you see the red stones lined up?
I do. If you play the in turn, it would be an easy double run in for the Danes. Coming on the out turn. Those guards are overlapped, so this is a smart play. Seems way out there, though. There's a ton of curling to do.
One pretty quick stone, too. Now trying to use it to get the backing.
Yeah. Wide and heavy.
Unable to hold the shooter off of that red. That was backline hack weight.
Yeah, the Japanese team is really struggling to find their rhythm this morning. Conversely now, Denmark can really apply the heat. Madeline Dupont really has a free shot here.
Well, Hans, I'll ask you the question. You played out of the Pacific Asian curling region. Two teams get to the Worlds. Japan plays Korea this afternoon. Does that sneak into your mind a bit, knowing that you have that game coming up?
I think when you in the pregame warm-up in the next game, that might come into their minds. But at this point, the Japanese team come into this game 3-0. So you're thinking, okay, 3-0, we can consolidate ourselves this morning with a win. So I'm sure they're fully focused on this game with Denmark. It'll be an interesting game for them this afternoon against Korea, but that won't be on their minds right now.
You saw the weight, the difference between the two stones. Just got out there and was a little bit wider. They were worried about touching that yellow and changing the angles.
So this is one of these situations in the game. You know, the Japanese ship is basically leaking at this point, and they're bailing out, and it's one of those situations where one really good shot can kind of turn the momentum around for a team. So let's see if Chinami Yoshida can make a little hit and flop and right the ship here for Team Japan. Well. Not sure what happened there. Did that stone pick?
Something, a lot of rotation on it almost, and tried to get something off of it and see if it spins at the end. Do get that benefit.
Well, we see Yoshida cleaning the ice, but absolutely nothing going right for the Japanese at this point. So Yoshida looking at the ice surface. I'm sure that must have picked. Lenny Nilsson's going well. Kind of an embarrassment of riches here.
Let's really go after it and get in there and put the pressure on.
Absolutely. You can see your opponent punch drunk and wobbling, and you can kind of go for the knockout. Denmark lying two with center guards all over the place and trying to drill another one in here, but it's coming up high in the house. It's not going to bury, but it will be in for third shot.
They just haven't, with her two stones, the one hung out on the in turn and the out turn there as well for DuPont. May got edge to edge, tough to get it underneath.
But what they are doing, the Danes, is getting their stones in places in the rings, so they're clearing guards and they're not wrecking. The Japanese are wrecking on come-around attempts. So now Yoshida, look of concern on her face in the hack now after her first stone picked.
They took a little extra time and were just being a little more aware of the ice surface. If there's something, anything out there to keep an eye.
Really love the inside roll here, but this one again hanging out a bit, starting to make a move now.
I'll try and get anything inside. Just a little flip. Will be shot stone.
Good shot there from Yoshida. It is half open, however. So Japan trying to solve the mystery of the ice here this morning. Satsuki Fujisawa trying to keep up the spirits of her third player, Tsunami Yoshida. Meanwhile, Lenny Nilsson and her Danish teammates looking to consolidate their early advantage in this game. Nilsson's going to, she can see about half a rock. She'll probably throw some kind of a board weight.
Try and stay as close to the center line as possible, not roll too far away.
Well, at this point with a 4-point lead, they won't flirt with the guard, so the first job is just to make contact and remove that Japanese stone.
Trying to convince that to sit will lie three.
Nice result there for Lenny Nilsson. So everything going right for Denmark. Nothing much going right for Japan. Yoshida and Fujisawa discussing their options. Fujisawa says, well, I can hit and flop off that one. Yoshida says, well, yeah, but that gives them the double raise and running right on us. So after playing with such confidence in their first 3 rounds, seeing the first signs of some uncertainty on this Japanese team. The stone is open and available for an inside roll.
Have to get the roll in order to be shot stone.
Yes, they do. They're trying to generate something here. Japan with last rock on end number 3, but they're trailing 4-0.
Well, the back and forth sweeping and get by.
Just by the guard, get the inside roll, but it's almost too good, and it pops out the other side, showing half a rock to the Danes.
That back and forth of get the curl, hold the curl, get a bit more curl, and it rolls out the other side.
Well, this is a game of inches and millimeters, and if that stone rolls 4 inches less, it's absolutely awesome. Here we see sweeping for the curl, and now trying to hold the line because it's actually over curling. They squeak the guard, get the inside roll they want, but they roll across the face. They actually make contact with that red stone, and it pushes it just out the other side. So Japan lies 1. But Lenny Nilsson can just see a corner, so she's just going to try and pick it out. Nice attempt there from the Japanese to try and wiggle one in behind those overlapped guards, but it's just rolled a bit too far.
Just shows you how tough that roll is. So precise, you have to hit that stone. And what were doing in their first 3 games, they were making those hit and rolls perfect. Here, just that little bit off, and it's the difference in a game. Nielsen has this chance to remove the yellow counter. Well, they do flirt with that front one.
Well,
Hit, roll, lie 3.
That was really well read by Risdell, holding the broom for Nelson. She was calling the sweeping on all the way and only had half the rock to hit, but she knew that the only bad result there was to clip that guard, so she kept the sweepers on the entire distance of the shot, made sure they're by the guard. Nice stone there by Denmark, and again, Japan facing a difficult situation to try and score 1. So a moral victory for Denmark. Worst case for them. They've got the force and they're up 3.
Have to be quite happy with the weight. Well, this one has started, but needs a piece of the 8-foot. Japanese skip, Satsuki Fujisawa.
So a fairly routine draw, but early in the game, nothing's been routine for the Japanese. Really important that they make this one. Gliding into the ring, so.
Time looks there, just under 14 seconds will be good. Back part of the 4-foot for a single point, and Japan on the board, but not the multiple score that they've been efficient with through the first couple days. They get 1, trail by 3 after 3 ends of play. Well, look inside from ice level, the Credit Union Iplex. Normally the home to the Swift Current Broncos, a junior hockey league team, Western Hockey League. But they have finished their season out of the playoffs. And have graciously allowed the curling to come in to their home venue and see this first stone go out in front for Team Japan. Down 3, how aggressive do they go now?
Well, the mathematics tells you that you're going to have to take some gambles to win this game, so you don't need to go too crazy, but a steal would be very helpful for the Japanese. At a minimum of force. So I expect the Japanese to play some riskier shots than they've had to in their first 3 games.
Well, you saw the numbers there for Charlotte Clemenson. That was tied for 6th among the lead stones. Well played, top part of the house, not wanting to get too deep.
The Danish team has been very solid, not flashy, but getting stones in good places.
%87% Yarika Yoshida tied for third. Now, here looking to go right around everything.
Wide line. Working it now to try and get it to curl in and dive in towards that button area. Nice sweeping there from the Japanese.
Perfect weight as it sits side of the forefoot. Well, speaking of side of the forefoot, is that lone Russian stone. Canada, Russia. Side of the forefoot. Chance here, get to the inside, and then Canada has an opportunity for 4. Get to the nose, they can get 3.
The hometown team from Canada struggled in their first couple of games and were in tough to try and pull out wins. This would really help them get on a roll.
Well, they've scored some big ends, and first 2 games they scored 3s late. Here, an opportunity to score 3 or more. Get it on the nose and beat for 3. To the delight of the Swift Current crowd, 3-2. Canada has the lead after 3 ends.
Saw the attempted follow down freeze from Denmark being a little bit full and a little bit heavy, so small window of opportunity opening here for the Japanese. Here's Yumi Suzuki. She's struggled with her draw weight a little bit in this game, so this will be an important shot for her confidence. Good looking line, they can bring it right in now. That's a nice shot.
Now this is the team we've saw the last couple playing those come rounds, getting, using the sweeping to get that late finish, wrap it around. I think definitely an advantage they play a team game, really throw to their sweepers. And the sweeping ice that we've seen here plays into their hands. You see Rizdal tied for 8th at second stones. Of course, played 3rd the first game, throwing the 3rd stones.
So Nielsen clears away that guard. Good defensive play. Over on sheet D, we have Switzerland against Finland. A couple of red Swiss stones already in the house.
And these are nice when you have the open draw into the rings for a 3rd point with the hammer. Chance to take the lead.
Switzerland looking to answer back after dropping a deuce in the second.
And there it is, so right down, use their own, get 3, and a 4-2 Swiss lead.
Again, nice sweeping from the Japanese front end. Yurika Yoshida bringing that guard into play. Getting enough cover of that red stone that the Danes can't run it straight back.
Well, Japan trailing 4-1 without the hammer. Has 2 in the forefoot.
Sweeping it to try and get it to curl and clip that front one, just gets a piece.
Had to go just to make sure they got the peel of it to make contact.
So Rizdal probably a little bit full on release, but she does the job. Removes the guard. Satsuki Fujisawa says, please put it back. Chinami Yoshida. Red hot in those first 3 games. Look at that shooting percentage, 90% at 3rd. That's outstanding.
Yeah, all second, third, and skip for Japan tops among percentage through 5 draws.
Nice shot.
Happy to just go out, replace the guard.
And the Japanese have got their 2 stones in nice places, so now it's a matter of having to execute guard after guard after guard.
79% from Madeline Dupont. Run it back, and we'll just go by their red. If they could have touched it just a little bit, it might have opened up both ways to get at. Interesting where that red stone sits. Does it get in the way of maybe getting at those yellows that way?
Yeah, it would definitely, Luke, especially if that red stone still sits in the top 12 foot. So that might be a factor, but right now the Japanese are saying, well, we need to put one back in front of that red stone in the 12 foot. We'll be looking for a halfway length guard. Gonna have to sweep this one to finish though. Hasn't really got great line yet, getting better now. A little closer to the rings than they might have liked, but still very good. Covering the right part of that Danish stone. There we see it's come to rest. Half guarding that red Danish stone in the top 12 foot.
At what point do you try and slash this one into that red? Try and open them up?
Well, the angles are good now for exactly that, Luke, so we'll just see how Lenny Nielsen reads it. Watch this.
Awfully close. Just narrowly missing it. And the difference of those angle runs is you got to hit that first one perfect. There was just minusculely off.
Watch the point of contact here on this replay. Had to hit it a little bit fuller to get the good action on the Japanese stone. Just blew by it. Madeline Dupont won't be too disappointed. It's created paths into the 4 foot. Denmark's up 3, so although they'd like to score 2 in this end, what they're mainly concerned about, Luke, is just able to score. So now it's a decision for the Japanese. Do we play for the force or do we play for the steal? Indicating that they're putting up the guard, so they're still thinking steal.
I think those rocks are in too good a position to not think steal right now.
Totally. A little pocket on the in-turn for Nielsen to draw to, but they are in good spots.
If I'm Japan, I'm almost thinking I want her playing that because she bounces off. You may even have a hit to really block everything with your last.
That's true, although in the early part of the game, Lenny Nielsen has been lethal with that come-around draw.
89% Fujisawa coming into this game. Of course, had that 100% game against Italy. This one a little deep.
Well, it's not a bad spot. Nielsen will have to be careful if she's playing a hit on that top stone because there is some risk of a jam on her own if she overcurls or undercurls, depending which turn she wants to throw. But you're right. The Japanese would have liked that 3 feet in front of the house, and instead they've come into the top 8 foot. Looking at the angles. She's going to want to hit this stone about 3/4 to 7/8 on the high side. Drive it across that stone. There we see, thank you very much, Stephanie Risdal, illustrating exactly where we want that stone to go.
The little telestrator with the broom.
Absolutely. Love it when the players do our work for us. It's fantastic.
Need to let them know that a little more.
Yeah. We'll send them a thank you note after the game.
See what Lenny Nielsen can come up with. 79%. She's 5th among last stone throwers.
There is some risk here if they overcurl, if a jam. Sweeping it to hold it. Might be over curling.
Will miss both of them. Roll off to the side, so still Japan lying 2.
So a little smile on the face of Lenny Nielsen, going, wow. The amount of curl definitely fooled her as well. They were trying to hit this stone on the outside. Instead, they cross the face and blow it right by the other 2 stones. Leave their own sitting on the outside of the 12-foot, though, so no room for error for the Japanese here. They have to make a great guard, otherwise they could run the risk of dropping a 3.
Just by that reaction, almost seemed like she thought she threw it quite well, and it just didn't react the way that she thought.
Well, Lenny's thrown draws mostly in this game. She hasn't thrown too many hits, and so that one definitely fooled her. Crucial guard here for the Japanese. It's a must make. Like the line, but they don't want it to over curl. Finishing, finishing, finishing. Have they exposed that stone?
I think they did. Did that ever curl on them? Now is the room to punch that yellow through the, off the other yellow and make the double.
I think there is. I think they can get to the nose of that Japanese stone just on the button. Straight back double, score 3, and really stick a knife into the Japanese hopes. There we see those 2 yellow stones belonging to Japan. There we see on our overhead. Lenny Nielsen asking how much they can see at the other end. Nielsen says, I have to be able to get to the nose to make this double. Can I do it with weight? I think they can. I think that they can play control weight, which is really all they'd need. Get to the nose of that shot rock, straight back. They'd have to get close to the guard, but if they make this, they throw a 3 on the board and they go up 7-1. I think you have to take a run at it. So we said the Japanese was crucial that they executed on that guard, and the guard just over curled creates a great opportunity here for Denmark. Last stone coming up of the 4th end. Japanese backhand holding their breath.
Now all they can ask for is maybe a little miss. You see the 88%. 4 hits, last shot of the 4th end. Now trying to get the curl on it. Sweeping to get curl.
They're by the guard. There's
get
one.
The nose. There's the
2,
double. Does it go out of the rings?
3 points for Denmark. Great shot from Lenny Nielsen.
Well, the guard over curls, left the opening. And Lenny Nielsen will extend their lead to 7-1 now after 4 ends of play against undefeated Japan. Nielsen showing the touch there with the quiet hit weight. Good throw, and really used that sweeping to get the extra curl. Like Clemenson to get their 3. Well, welcome back inside 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championship. Look at the skips, and that's a lot of crooked numbers on the top half of that score sheet. Denmark leading 7-1 over Japan. Hadn't been this case for the first three for Japan. They've controlled most of it. Not here.
Well, they're certainly not having their own way this morning, Luke. Japan came into this game on a roll, 3-0, but that unbeaten streak is in serious danger of extinguishing today. And it's really been down to execution. There's no other way to put it. The Japanese have just not executed well this morning. They had an opportunity there in the last end to lock away a guard, set up a steal, missed the guard, overcurled, and Lenny Nielsen made them pay.
And when your opponent does make a miss, need to capitalize. Lenny Nielsen didn't let that one slip. And I'm sure in the back of her mind, she knew she let one go earlier this week in a 4-0 lead early. She's going to keep the pressure on. They kept peeling, got the mistake, and then capitalized.
Corner guard there from the Japanese. It's a long road back. They're going to need lots of guards. Let's have a look at Switzerland versus Finland.
Well, Switzerland gets their 3 in that third end, and now Una Kausta has a draw here to pick up a single point. Just weren't able to mount any offense in that one. Has that red stone in behind cover. Switzerland forces the draw and single point, so 4-3 through 4 ends.
Well, the Swiss will be happy with that, getting a force after scoring a 3 of their own. So Minia Felcher and her Swiss teammates, narrow lead, but they've got the hammer now. Meanwhile, back in our game, Denmark, no need for guards, so they've thrown 2 stones into the rings. With a 6-point lead, the Danes will be looking to have as few stones in play as possible. So we've seen this Japanese team having early opportunities to try and peel guards in games that they've led and being very successful holding a lead. Let's see how Denmark executes in that department.
Well, Stephanie Risdal will start with that. The in-turn peel.
Can they kill both?
Oh. Catch it too thin to get both. Gets the 1 guard. See if Japan replaces it. Try and play a couple out in front.
We see Fujisawa immediately saying, let's use that corner guard now. She knows that the Danes are going to be peeling those guards. So she wants to try and get one in there while she can. Good looking line. A little heavier than they'd like, but it's mainly about getting behind cover, which they do. Experienced skip Lenny Nielsen not falling into the trap. She knows that the only danger in this game for her now is that giving up a 3.
Keep peeling the guards. I think this one was pretty easy in her mind, knowing she's going to peel it in her 7th World Championship. Her best result, 2011, finishing 4th. Other than that, 4 times finishing 8th, once 10th. Love to get into the playoff picture and give herself a chance at a world title.
Well, we talked about that opening game draw against Canada where they led that game 4-0 early. And frankly should have won the game but didn't. So you're right. They've been middle of the pack in many events and would love to get themselves closer to the range of playing in the medal round. But as we said, this is an Olympic qualification event as well, and every placing matters. So every win is valuable in the round robin.
While trying to maneuver these stones in the forefoot.
They'd like to get to the nose and leave their own frozen, but it slightly over curls.
Leaves that red stone lingering. Shot stone, top of the 8-foot.
So again, Denmark will just blast away. Where those stones are angled, Madeleine Dupont could hit about half on the outside and make a double takeout on those two yellow Japanese stones. It's not far away. Just goes by that back stone, but
rolls into lie two.
Primary job done.
They're trying to force play to the center, force Japan to come after their stones. More rocks right now in play, the better for Japan.
That's right, Luke. If you're Japan now, where normally you might be hitting something to reposition things, now you're just going to push them back in the house and try to keep rocks in play to manufacture something. Trailing by 6. Really looking to score at least 2 in this end to get themselves back onto this game a little bit.
These sweepers for Japan very quickly to get on the stone, knowing they're going to be close.
Once again, getting fooled by the amount of curl.
Rolled just across the face of that red counter, top of the forefoot.
They were really hoping to roll their own directly in front of that red stone, but again, just missing the sweeping call late. That roll slightly over curls. It's in a slightly difficult position now for the Danes. They're going to have to navigate a couple of those stones to push that Japanese rock out of play. Lenny Nielsen electing safety. She's up 6. So instead of hitting that Japanese stone in front of the 8-foot, she's going to hit the second Japanese stone in the back of the rings. Again, trying to take out any possibility of Japan scoring 3.
Well, hit the open one, force Japan to make the play on those other ones.
Yeah, Lenny Nelson apologizing for the sweeping call, but again, I think personally I'd prefer to have that stone roll out of the rings anyways. It doesn't really help them. So good, smart, conservative play with the lead by the Danes.
Looks like maybe trying to cross the nose, tap it, roll in front of the red, and tap that one closer to the back red stone.
Well, if you made this one perfect, you could do exactly that. You could push that yellow stone towards that stone in the back 12-foot as we're looking at it, and roll the stone that you've thrown right in front of that red stone. Another option here would be to simply draw around. A third option would be to freeze that red stone in the top of the 4-foot. But they're all pretty high-risk shots. She's got some contact, pushing it back towards that stone.
Nice little shot.
Nice little shot. Rearranges them a little bit. Creates a better angle on those 2 stones at the front of the house.
Is Nielsen tempted to try it? There is a difficult double. I think you could.
There is a difficult double, but being up 6, I wouldn't try it. That's for sure. Of course, then again, I'm not that good.
So obviously, up here, it's easy to look at it and see, oh, just go down, play that double, just pick them both out.
Yeah, the smart play here is the shot that she's calling.
So I think they want to hang around.
Hang around the nose. Red stones belong to Denmark. Trying to remove that Japanese stone at the black of the 4-foot. leave her lying at least one, maybe two. Wow.
Get by, avoid their own.
Great shot.
Actually, may have just grazed that back red a little bit, but lie 1-2.
It did. That one finished really hard. They just squeaked it by the guard. Big smiles from the Danes. Look at that. Now they're lying 1-2, and both of those stones have got protection. Look how close this comes to the guard. Just squeaks by it and gets a little inside roll, and it grazes that back one as well. The Danes are in great shape here. Japan's got the hammer, but Denmark's got two in the forefoot. Great angles for Denmark.
Just look at that. It's obviously a little more comfortable. Armor over the shoulder of her vice skip, and just relaxed. A 7-1 lead.
Lenny Nilsson's quite a tall woman, though. She's got the height advantage there. So. There we see an example of sportsmanship between the players. Tsunami Yoshida inadvertently kicked that stone in the back of the 12-foot. The Danish team says, that's fine, he didn't move it. It's one of the great things about this sport of curling. The spirit of curling and sportsmanship generally prevails.
Well, Fujisawa now has a stone, trying to get to the face of it and freeze to get shot.
Really working it, finishing hard, trying to get inside for shot, and just a beauty.
Wow.
Just a great stone. Almost too good. If it curled a little bit less, the angles would have been better to try and play some kind of a pinball shot on the last one, but she really needed to get in there for shot, and look at that thing finish. Japan's got one locked up. So now if you're Denmark, you're thinking, okay, how can we lock up the force here? You're probably going to give them one anyways.
Jeg ved ikke, om det er et tosset forslag, men det er kun scoretavleforslaget. Og pille den der af, og er vi rimelig heldige, tager den der med. Men det der som etteren. Og så sige, så lav et indlæg til ovenpå. Det er alligevel ikke det nemmeste indlæg.
Men får vi ikke det samme ud af at gå herover?
Hvad for noget?
Får vi ikke det samme ud af at gå herover?
Hun kan ikke stå lige på den. Hvis vi ligger her, kan hun ikke stå lige på den.
Hun kan ikke få alle dem herud.
Nej, det er rigtigt. Så hvis vi går rundt her på den måde.
Hun må gerne få en. Hvis jeg ligger her, selv hvis jeg ligger her.
Det er ikke nemmere. Den må du gøre med den der.
What they're trying to do here, Luke, is make it really difficult for Japan to get two. So they're considering bumping up that stone in the front of the forefoot, pushing it a little bit more into the blue area and cutting down the scoring circle.
Well, to me, that almost seems you're playing a difficult shot when you're not necessary.
Well, that's probably true, but we see that yellow Japanese stone in the front 8-foot. There is a possibility that the Japanese could use that themselves.
If Denmark didn't throw right now, they'd still have to draw to the side of the button to get it.
That's right.
If you put a guard out, force her to go out wide with the draw, what would Japan have left?
Well, the Japanese might have a chance to throw that out-turn draw again on top of their own and maybe score two that way. We saw how hard it finished, so that is a possible shot, but you're exactly right. You don't want to make it any easier for your opponent. You've got a 6-point lead.
You see that numerous times. You see, I got to try and make it even more difficult, but you could open something up by playing on your top one. Right now, angles aren't set up for Japan to score any more than a draw for two.
So Lenny Nilsson now trying to cut off the access on the in-turn side for Satsuki Fujisawa. Japan's got the hammer, but they're trailing by 6. Don't want this one to slide behind the tee line, but it does. Just to the back of the button, creates a little pocket.
That's sort of the way I was thinking. By playing that now, makes this shot easier.
Makes this shot a little bit easier now for Japan. You're right. So that was the risk. So you don't want to get lackadaisical when you've got a big lead. Still need to keep the discipline. Denmark was trying to make it harder for Japan to get two.
Still no gimme to get the second point.
No, it's not.
But it is a stone they can come down to. Satsuki Fujisawa. Last shot here of the fifth, trying to get to the inside, to the side of the button to get 2.
They've got 1 in the bank already, but they really do need this second point. Sweeping it to curl. They really do need it to curl. I'm not sure if it's going to curl enough, Luke.
Let's look at the weight on it. Just
Huge.
had extra weight. Couldn't get the curl. And it's only 1 for Japan. So the long road back gets even longer with only a single point.
Japanese team are ruining the missed opportunity, so after 5 ends of play, it's Denmark 7, Japan 2.
Det er hellere der, end at den lægger sig stor rum på den der.
So what looked like a routine start of the game for Japan turned into anything but. Fujisawa flashing a hit and leaving an unexpected free draw for 2 for Lene Nielsen of Denmark. Throws it into the 12-foot, and Denmark gets an early pleasant surprise, an unexpected 2-0 lead. In the second end, Japan trying to recover from that shock flash in the first. Fujisawa trying the run back, but over curling, blows it by those 2 Danish stones, and all of a sudden, whoops, we're down 4. Fourth end of play, 2 Japanese stones in the rings. But an opportunity because of a missed guard for Lene Nielsen to come by and make a double takeout, and what a fantastic stone, precision shot, and a huge 3-point score for the Danes, giving them firm control of this game. And after 5 ends of play, Denmark is leading it 7-2. 4 games of action here in this morning draw. United States versus Italy. USA leading it 2-1.
Italy has that stone back 8 foot. Looks like shot stone, and Apollonio chance to take the lead into the 5th end break of that one. It's been a battle for them throughout this one. Fought back in a game yesterday, they got behind, and here looking to win their first.
Well, they had a confidence-building comeback against Finland. They lost the game, but 2 points for the Italians, and they get their nose in front in this one. They're leading the USA 3-2 after 5 ends of play.
Well, Switzerland, Finland keep moving over on sheet D. And shot stone looks like 1st and 3rd for Switzerland. They can get across the face, tap this one without disturbing their back one. And there's a good look there at what they're shooting at.
Talked about Felcher doing a nice job with the force in the previous end, and here's a real chance to capitalize.
Well, quiet hit weight, and Binya Felcher, look at that.
Really nicely done, and it's a 3-spot for the Swiss.
Another multiple point score, another 3. They lead 7-3 in that one, while Italy 3-2, and Canada rush after back-to-back blanks. They are playing in 6. Russia with the hammer after Canada got that 3 in the 3rd. Here, this draw 6.
Well, we called it positioning day. Teams trying to find their place on the ladder. Here we see Danish coach Ulrich Schmidt, an internationally experienced competitor himself. He'll be telling his team, you've got a huge lead, but you made a little bit of an error in that last end, so don't get complacent. Keep scoring is the message. Just keep it open and keep scoring.
Hun lægger højst sandsynligt 2 op, ikke? Ja. Vil du rundt på den første og se, hvis den lander godt wig på den anden?
Meanwhile, in the Japanese huddle, this team is trying to figure it out. Bit of encouragement there. by scoring, but an opportunity lost to score 2. It's regrouping time for the Japanese. Coach J.D. Lind. Players having their energy drinks. And let's have a look at the percentages after 5 ends, Luke.
81% average in favor of Denmark, obviously, the scoreboard. But you see the low draw numbers, which is a little surprising for Denmark. And then 93% to 69 for the hits and the 2 stolen points. In that second end, got off to a 4-0 lead. But the big difference is at the skip position. 88% for Lene Nielsen, 60 for Satsuki Fujisawa, who came in as the top skip previously, well below her 89% tournament average. As the kids get to come.
It's a morning off school. Life is good here in Swift Current. Come on, you kids, you should be studying. No, studying the best in the world in the sport of curling.
Well,
pretty good lesson.
See it when the championships are in Canada. They're able to bring some school kids down, field trip down to the Credit Union Iplex, watch some curling, get out of the
scream and shout,
get out of the schoolroom, get out of the
get
some of that noise, popcorn, some sugar.
Yeah, get back into that classroom really focused in the afternoon, I'm sure. Lots of mums and dads in Swift Current tonight are going to have some late evenings, I think. But back to the curling.
Good numbers on the game for Yoshida. As usual, you see the good tournament average and good mid-90s game so far. They'll need to look at making every shot now from here on out.
Well, if you do the math, it's a 10-end game, 5 ends to play. Japan down 5.
One miss already. That one looking to be a guard, sliding into the house, meaning Nielsen can hit this one.
Definitely not a great start for the Japanese here in the 6th end. So the formula, if you're doing the math, if you're Japan, if you're going to win this game, one way to get there is 6 steals in a row. That's a pretty tall order. The other way is to force Denmark to 1 and get really big ends with the hammer. But then you're having to score in bunches to overcome the deficit. So it's definitely advantage Denmark, but they have to execute, close this one out.
Well, they're trying to roll it off of the center line a bit, trying to keep that 4-foot space clear.
Lenny Nielsen would have liked that to roll out.
Some of the young fans in attendance. I like his hat.
Don't think this one's missing school yet, but keeping that bean nice and warm with the curling stone, that's awesome.
As long as baby doesn't get confused for a rock and gets thrown down the ice.
Yeah, you don't want to float the outturn on that one. Japan wants as many rocks in play as they can.
So there's the center line guard.
A little bit surprised about this call by Lenny Nielsen coming around that center guard, but
staying aggressive. I think they're staying in that same mindset probably. Maybe they changed in that first game.
Well, they probably sense a chance to close this one out. If they can score a deuce here. They've got the hammer, of course. In this situation, I'm not so sure that I wouldn't have tried just to remove my own stone. Squeaks it just by the guard. So, a few stones starting to accumulate for the Japanese. Fujisawa immediately looking to take advantage of it. Yumi Suzuki trying the in-turn draw.
Well, numbers definitely tell the story in this one.
Yeah. Yumi's struggled today, throwing a couple of draws heavy. This one again looks a little heavy.
And taking their sweepers out of it. When you see the Japanese team backing right off, you know they're not on their game, and they're throwing to the sweepers and using them.
So a decision now for Lenny Nielsen. She now says, okay, let's deal with that guard.
Well, for a lot of young curlers, that's one thing. Make sure use your sweepers. If you see that stone going deep in the house, and Japan will know that. You throw it there, sweepers can't do anything. It takes that team aspect out of it. It's all up to just hoping that stone will stop. Here, the peel of the guard, and it's 1-2 for Denmark, top part of the house.
Denmark with the hammer here on the 6th. Enjoying a comfortable 7-2 lead. Japan riding a 3-0 record coming into this game. Denmark on 1-2. If Denmark can close this out, that will be a 2-2 record. Nice center guard there for the Japanese, but Nielsen immediately says, I want that one out of there.
Whoa! That's Debbie. That's it.
So we wondered how this Danish team would do clearing stones with a lead, and so far looks pretty solid, Luke. Making 2 nice peels in a row.
Yeah, making it look easy, as we've seen from some of these teams. You can play that hit game. You get up, you see the 7-2 score. Going to win a lot of these games. Made the shots early they needed to, and now Japan has to make everything. Yoshida still good numbers, just below her tournament average.
She had 1 stone pick early in this game, which was quite unfortunate for her. So I'm sure the Japanese realize that their chance of victory in this game, they're going to compete and fight hard for every shot, but they're in a world of difficulty here, so they're going to focus on every shot and try to build some momentum for later in the day, just with good execution. Another perfect peel there from the Danes. Madeline Dupont clearing that center guard.
Yeah, not a whole lot doing when you put that one up. Well, these are games with Denmark coming in and played 3 one-point game, 2 extra ends. This may be the type of game that they need, with just, you're still thinking, but it's a little bit less stress every shot. You're not thinking, and mentally you're not, it's not that grind that some of the games can be.
No, that's absolutely right, Luke. It's you get a real mental breather when you know at the beginning of the end as a front end player that almost 100% you're going to be throwing a clearing shot. So that helps your mental preparation in the end. Madeline Dupont again trying to throw that clear.
Well, they've been successful in that.
So at some point now, the Japanese are going to have to abandon that strategy and come around those 2 red stones.
Looks like going 1 more centerline guard. There is a little overlap. Oh, see the broom maybe going around now.
Yeah, I do think this is the shot to come around.
Looked like a lot of ice to me, but we've seen them get lots of finish on their stones.
Well, they've certainly struggled with over curl in this game, so I'm not surprised that they're taking a little extra stick. They'd like to wait. Starting to move now. Have they left it too long again?
A big scrub. And again, I don't think the weight was there. Where you get both sweepers possibly on that to try to get that extra little bit of speed. And he may have been able to get that one at least further. just top part of the house. They haven't figured out that draw weight in this and where to put the broom.
Yeah, first sign of frustration now from Satsuki Fujisawa. She had it really dialed in yesterday, but today can't find the range.
How much are they worried, Denmark, about the stone back 12 foot?
Well, it'll be a factor, but a small factor. I'll be quite happy to hit this one and roll away to the wing, even if they roll completely off the rings. But they know if they can put a 2 or a 3 on the board here in this end, it's pretty close to clinching the victory. This one's really moving early on Nielsen.
Well, what will it catch of that back one? Won't get anything. We'll sit 3. Only problem now, the overlap. Japan or Fujisawa can get one wrapped.
That's right.
Tough to get removed.
Yeah, great opportunity now for the Japanese. Lenny Nielsen was trying to hit this one again on the nose and the high side. We saw earlier in the game she threw a similar rock down that path that overcurled, and it happened again. So I'm not sure if she's just starting her internal fraction or just moving a bit more, but the result is a second chance here for the Japanese. Trying to drill one into that button area behind those center guards. Every shot crucial now for Team Japan. Need them all. Better looking line on this stone. They're by the guard.
And you see, get Yumi Suzuki on it, wrap it around. And right to the back of the button.
So now Lenny Nielsen taking a look at that front stone to see if there's any chance at all that she can run it back.
I think she has one shot, and that's to follow the path that was just thrown.
I agree. I think the Japanese, for me, maybe slightly overswept that stone. You would have liked it to come to rest maybe an inch short of where it did, but that's really, you know, picking at fine things. It's a very nice stone there from Fujisawa, but by sliding to the back of the button, she does create the opportunity for Nielsen just to follow it down. Here we see, Luke talked about that overlap, and we see the overlap on those 2 red stones at the top of our picture, taking away the chance for the Danes to run one of them back on that yellow stone, so they're forced into the draw.
That was the problem with her first, where she went with it. Draw down, wheel curl in there. We just saw it from Team Japan. Let's avoid the steal at this point.
So a test now for the Danes.
Lenny Nielsen, not the stress-free shot she thought she might have. Just to draw down to it in order to get a single point.
This one has some curling to do. Starting to move now. Looks a little warm, though. I'm not sure it's going to curl enough. Could be a steal.
And it is just too much weight. They couldn't really go on it to try and get the curl. And it is a steal of 1. So Japan, with the first score without the hammer for them, cut into that lead. Still, though, big uphill climb down 7-3.
Det er bare den egentlig ikke, at jeg og så skal jeg bare stå på næsen i stedet for. Udover det spiller vi fint ind. Ja. Vi går igen? Ja. Har du en kugle? Hun har en. Har jeg ikke en dernede? Jo. Ja, det er surt med hende, så hun får lige startet.
Yurika Yoshida getting us underway in the 7th end. A little moral boost for the Japanese with that steal there in the 6th. Going to be regretting not getting that deuce in the 5th, because if they had, they'd be down 3 and kind of back in the ball game, but they're down 4. There we see our score line. Denmark 7, Japan 3. You're with us live from Swift Current, Saskatchewan at the 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championships.
Well, no doubt Japan's going to put the guards out in front. Long way back.
Well, we said at the 5th end break that one of the ways that Japan can win this game is steal 6 ends in a row. Well, they've done 1. 5 to go.
Well, this one's staying out in the open. Consecutive steals.
Well, I guess in personal experience, you know, my New Zealand team,
Leaving play behind that center, trying to go for quite the long stretch of steals. What's the longest you've seen?
Once played at a cash spiel in Port Moody, and we were down 10-2. Obviously didn't wake up well that morning, but
A little moody that morning?
yeah, we managed to steal our way back and win that game. Mind you, we weren't stealing 1s, we were stealing 2s and 3s. So it can happen, but it's pretty improbable. But Denmark can contribute to it. We see that the Danes thrown a stone into the rings. So they got the hammer. You can understand that they just want to try and consolidate the game and put this one away by scoring themselves. But every stone that's in play is actually a good stone for Japan. It's something that they can potentially use or hide behind or freeze to.
Well, Japan just played the out-turn guard trying to come around, slid in, and Lenny Nielsen and her team electing to play the in-turn come around as opposed to rip it out and keep things clear.
I have to say personally, I don't like this call at all. It's got 2 stones in the rings, not in the free guard zone. You could throw a hit and remove either of them. That's what I'd be doing, but Denmark's the team with a 4-point lead right now, so you have to respect Lenny Nielsen's judgment. She's trying to put the game away here.
Well, Japan, I'm sure, and Satsuki Fujisawa, happy to see that.
Absolutely, and there you see the risk in that shot. It's sitting up again, top 12 foot. So even though Denmark's lying too, if you're Fujisawa, you're thinking, those are guards. I can use those, I can go around them.
We've seen Japan be able to set up their steals in the game. They got the steal the last end, the great come around. Look back to the 3 Denmark got in the 4th. They had that steal set up the entire end. Just 1 missed guard and allowed a shot for 3.
That's exactly right. So some spotty execution by the Japanese in the first half of the game have given Denmark a big lead, but they have built up ends. Trying to suck one around that redstone in the front 12 foot.
Well, right around, get it in a good steal position. Now, they're starting to roll. A little momentum going in their favor. And a little more confidence. Feeling a bit better about the way things are.
Lenny Nielsen now electing to run the center guard. Of course, she couldn't do it before now because it was in the free guard zone, but now she can take a run at it. But yeah, I just think the stones into the front of the house is just unnecessary for the Danes.
If they do want to bring one in, maybe to the outside, if you want to put one in the house.
Absolutely, you can take the play to the wing and that reduces the risk a lot, for sure. So those red stones are set up for the run back, so Japan is going to have to execute well with their guards, but like we said, 6 steals for the win, 1 in the bag, and another one brewing here. All about the line. They don't want to set up a double raise.
Now it's just trying to set up the angle, overlap. actually not terrible. Though. It takes away run backs of those.
Yep,
Obviously, a little higher is preferred.
It is preferred, but locking their own stone is a good play because now it'll leave their own stone in the control zone if the Danes over curl on this clearing attempt, or under curl, because I do think they're playing the stone off the center line first. Bringing the heat. Maybe some drag effect here.
I'll clip it out. Leaves their shooter out in front still. Shot stone still belongs to Japan.
So Japan's walking the high wire here. 2 Danish stones in the front of the house, but they've got the counter on the lid. Here we see the contact on the clearing attempt. Springs the 2 yellow stones out of the house. Drills that red stone through the port.
I was hoping maybe get a little fortunate with it. Shinami Yoshida put the guard out in front. Protect that stone they have on the button.
So Denmark's got a couple of savers here. Now that stone in the 8-foot, they can angle run in and slash it in to pick off the Japanese stone, but Japan knows that the easier shot right now is that center straight back, so that's what they're guarding. Nice stone. Covers both the direct access to the shot as well as the run back. Good position.
Tempted to try and play the other turn at this to try and go off the red in the top of the 12-foot. It's basically double guarded right now.
Yeah, that is an option, but does run the risk of actually stuffing it and jamming it in, leaving another Japanese stone in the ring. So this is the safer play.
And forcing the guard to be put up. They got a miss a few ends ago. Led to a 3 by Denmark.
Shinami Yoshida.
Shows the alternate, the Olympic Winter Games 2014.
Trying to get this one again to straddle that center line. Good execution there from Japan. So they tidied up what their difficulties were reading the ice early in the game. That's a very nice stone. But is it too little, too late? That's the question.
Well, little extension on that one. Gets enough, peels that one out. Fujisawa knows the play here.
Defend, defend, defend. Once again looking to straddle that center line. Exposes a bit more of that red shot on the out-turn side, so it might be tempting for Lenny Nielsen to try a raise. She says, no way. You're nuts, Frauenlob. I'm clearing the guard.
I still thought that at some point they might try and play the slash in. Get that one off the top of the 12-foot.
It's a good saver for their last shot. They've got that stone in the 8-foot that we can see just to the right of Stephanie Rindahl as we're looking at that. That's their bailout shot to score 1.
Lenny Nielsen appeal the guard, and will do just that.
So interesting discussion now, and Japan, instead of considering the guard, are looking at drilling another one of their own into the top button. I like this call.
No, they have a long way back and have basically that guard top 12 foot.
We've seen how much the stones finish on the draw weight, so they can easily get to the nose of this one, even slightly across the face of it, and move the shot rock back and leave their own sitting full 4 foot. Other option here, of course, is just another guard, but there is that slash run in, so nice call here by the Japanese.
Well, on it already to get the curl.
And the weight, both sweepers working it hard now.
Now
trying to hold the line, they can't wreck. They must get by, they're by now. Now they want to get some separation between the stones.
Very nice.
Good. Nice shot there by Satsumi Fujisawa. Japan's lying 2.
They do communicate very well, and constant chatter back and forth. Sweepers, from the thrower to the sweepers to the skipping or vice skip in the house. Just
and the angles are good as well. So here we see both sweepers working it hard, really trying to get it into a difficult position for the Danish to throw a double takeout or any kind of an easy angle raise. And the weight was perfect as well. Just pushes it back a foot. That's great.
And to me, it looks like one option right now, if you want to try and score, and that's playing that right red stone.
We talked about that stone in the 8 foot angling in being their bailout shot to score 1. So that's an option. She might also be looking at trying to throw a thin double, hitting what she can see of that top stone in the 4 foot across the face of that back one and scoring 2 that way, or at least 1. There we see Japan with the yellow stones, Denmark with the red stones. Could also raise that one on the center line in the top of the 12 foot across the face of the yellow and try to double them off on an angle raise that way. That's a bit more difficult shot.
It's tougher. The angle is because you have to cross it.
Yep, you have to cross the face of 2 stones there, so that's quite difficult.
This, to me, is conceding a steal of 1, playing straight onto the yellow. Can they see enough to slash it over the top?
I think they can, Luke. They have to hit it really thin, though. So if you're playing that shot, you're running the risk of blowing it by and giving up a steal of 2, which you definitely don't want.
Surprised they didn't look at that other red that much on the left side of your screen from the overhead right now.
Well, you know, that's not a gimme either. It really swoops in there, so you'd throw it if you had nothing else, but they have an option here to eliminate at least 1 stone. So let's see what we've got. We got Lenny Nelson on the in turn, throwing the hit, trying to remove at least one of these Japanese stones. They have to get by the center guard first, though. Are they by? Yes, they're just by, but they jam, and it's a steal of 1 for Japan. So 6 steals required to win the game for Japan, and it's 2 in the bank. 4 to go.
Doing it the single point way, 1 step closer, 7-4 now. Through 7 ends. Well, 3 straight singles, and what could have been for Japan had they made a shot in the 4th, made their last shot in 5th. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Now, what they have done is got back-to-back steals. We'll try and set it up for another one in this 8th end. Luke Coley, Hans of Frauenlob inside Credit Union Iplex as the 2016 Ford World Women's Curling Championship. And a 7-4 game that has really swayed back. Japan definitely controlling, has some momentum going in their way.
Absolutely. It's right now, after having a commanding 6-point lead, the Danes will be going, boy.
And haven't changed the plan, even though they haven't had the success. They're going to go around the center. Might see them change it, go to the wing, get a stone in there, keep the 4-foot open. It's been their stones in the top part of the house that have hurt them the last 2 ends.
I agree, and we're seeing it here again on the 8th end. Lenny Nielsen again electing to come around that center guard. I'm with you, Luke. I'd be playing this quite differently to just try and keep that center of the house area open, maybe draw to the wing instead of coming into the 4-foot. And this really just does play into the hands of Japan.
Well, it's deeper. The other one's been top of the house. This one back 4-foot.
So now, if you're Fujisawa, you're saying, okay, I can throw up another guard. I'll come to that one later. Here we see the percentages at the lead position. Yurika Yoshida at 89%, holding a slight advantage over Charlotte Clemenson. But shooting percentages are kind of secondary to the scoreboard. That's the only stat that really matters. And Denmark is up 3, but starting to wobble a little bit here. They'd like this to stop in front of the rings if they can, because it'll stay in the free guard zone area. It just bites the rings. Let's have a look at another game on the sheet. Canada versus Russia. Canada's leading at 3-2, but look here, Luke, we appear to have the Russians with a great opportunity to score 2.
Yeah, it was Anna Sidorova made a double on her first, and then Chelsea Carey was trying to play a quiet hit, just ticked it over. Haven't been a lot of scoring to bring you this one, just 2 ends of scoring. Miss Russia's chance to get a second deuce in the game and take the lead. What's been a fairly cautious game from both sides. Of course, Russia losing their first yesterday. Canada still unbeaten. Not a problem for the European champion. Right to the Ford logo, gets the 4-3 advantage. Meanwhile, ours, you see Japan has those 2 stones on the center line. First 2 from Denmark. Again, it's not the rock placement you would like. It's deep in the rings. Now, huge opportunity. Yumi Suzuki, it's a pivotal stone in the end.
Certainly is. Yumi's been struggling with her draw weight, slightly heavy, but she really needs to nail this one. This one is really set up fantastically for the Japanese. Small bump would be great, but she wants to get to the nose. And she does. Maybe 1 foot heavier weight than she wanted. She would have loved that one to curl just a hair more than it did. But she pushes those 2 Danish stones into the back button area, and hate to say it, but this is a problem of her own making here for Lenny Nielsen. Just some questionable shot choices for me.
Well, the question is now with that stone in that good a position in the house, do you go after it? Here they're playing the peel.
Well, you do have to run the guards. I mean, you're still, despite the fact that you've given up consecutive steals, you're still up 3 on the scoreboard. Scoring 1 in this end gives you firm control of the game, so keeping a path open to make that shot for the 1 is the logical play, but
rolls it off to a corner guard. See if that becomes a factor later, where it's positioned and making a play with a draw. Right now, shot stone, top of the button. Japan will look to put the guard out in front. If we look at the second stone numbers, Rizdal with the big advantage. Off game here for Yumi Suzuki.
Ni means two. That's the weight communication zone position for that stone. Halfway guard, right on the center line. So we talked earlier about the Japanese struggling to find the line, but they've corrected that in the second half of the game, and their guard placement is much, much better than it was early in the game.
They've been taking just a one-end approach, just staying patient.
Well, sometimes when you're behind a pile, you know, it takes all the pressure off, ironically.
Well, actually, I think a big impact on that one, touching that corner guard over.
And this may spin back, and it does. Clings onto the rings. But Fujisawa at this point saying, well, they can accumulate around the edges all day, but we need to steal.
Whether they score 1 or they score 5,
yeah,
can't really have them score.
That's right. For Japan, any Danish score is close to fatal. Japan replaces that center guard. So they expose their shot rock a little bit, but again, Nielsen recognizing the danger is in the guards, looking to clear.
See the extension on the release there from Madeleine Dupont to get the extra speed.
She really fired that one.
Just gets the one.
Japan again playing the patience game, saying we'll just replace that guard. Watch the release here from Madeleine Dupont. Big flick and extension there, trying to generate the speed on that peel weight shot, but well controlled.
It's become harder to keep that your line accurate when you're getting the extension all the time?
It can do. This is where the training and practice comes into play. Some players generate the weight from the slide out of the hack. Other players generate the weight with the extension, and Madeleine definitely generates it with the extension. But there is a risk if you take that approach of flaring it. So that one's slightly over curl, so they're double stacked now, so it's a bit of a choice for Lenny Nielsen. Here we see Shinami Yoshida holding a slight advantage in percentages over Madeleine Dupont. So it's a bit of a choice now. Lenny Nielsen saying, well, should we come around and have a crack at it now? Do we try a double clear? That guard slightly over curled, so the shot rock is a little bit more available. But the guards do represent the danger for Denmark.
So I think just the thought process, you peel the one out of the rings, you leave the two guards, and they can make it in a tougher spot to get rid of.
Absolutely. I think if they would have made a play at the stone in the rings, it would have had to be trying to cross the face, but regardless, the smart play is to clear the guards.
Well, got to clear the front.
2. Leaving their own stone just biting the front of the house, or the Japanese stone rather, so that one might be usable later in the end.
Yeah, change the angles a little different look now into skip stones.
So that has the effect of offering better protection to that Japanese shot rock on the intern side. Big yawning gap though on the outturn side now for right-handers. So Japan is going to try and take that away. Throw a guard. Cover the port. Luke mentioned that Japan's got the momentum and they can sense if they can steal another one here. We talked about this being a prize fight, and earlier on in the game, Denmark was looking for the knockout punch. This is the effect if they can steal this end of surviving the early onslaught and winning rounds on points and trying to get to the end of the end of the match.
All about the line here. Try and plug that hole. The only thing, double peel a possibility now, but Denmark has to be thinking in the back of their minds. Back-to-back steals.
Yeah, so an interesting goal here. The double clear is an option, but we can see here the Japanese sweepers doing a nice job of getting the stone right in the position that they wanted. Great close-up in the action. We can see Yoshida and Suzuki, very efficient sweepers. So yeah, a big call here for Lenny Nielsen, saying, I'm gonna have to draw eventually. Let's do it right now. She's gonna try and throw around that intern center guard and drill one right on the button. The risk here, of course, if she misses, Japan can really lock it away.
This is a must-make for Lenny Nielsen.
Well, this one's really moving. I think they're gonna flirt with the guard, Luke.
This one never had a shot. And right now, this a glorious chance for Japan to not just steal one, but steal two.
Absolutely. We talked about the Japanese boat leaking water early in the game. Well, they've patched those leaks, and now it's the ship of Denmark that's all of a sudden looking a little bit waterlogged. Lenny Nielsen holding the advantage, but all the momentum is with Japan, and here's a great opportunity for Satsuki Fujisawa. If she can drill one onto the button herself, front of the button, she's got great protection from those red guards, and she could definitely bring up the chance of stealing two. And if the Japanese can steal two here, wake up the neighbors, it'll be all on for the finish.
Well, they just saw this path thrown.
Again, they must get by the guard. This one's really curling as well. They're working it really hard to get past that guard. And I don't think he's got the weight to get shot. So now it's just turning into a guard themselves. So an opportunity lost for the Japanese, I think.
I think they wanted to make sure they were trying to communicate. They knew they were light, just to make sure they took away any draw path. What does Lenny Nielsen have left with that one coming up short?
Well, there's a couple of possibilities here, but they're all low percentage. As we look at the stone, we've got that yellow Japanese stone on the top of the 12-foot. She could angle double that in. There we see.
Oh, that probably took a little bit of time getting ready to come down to the ring.
Yep, Danish support there. It looks like a Canadian flag on the face. So a risky shot would be to double those two yellow Japanese stones in, pick off the one on the 4-foot, and score two that way. She's got the straight run back, but to do that, she has to navigate that tight port between those two stones just off the center line. That looks like the preferred option to me for Lenny Nielsen.
It's awfully tough. You saw the good look of the port they have to get through. Nose hit on that top one.
If she gets through the port, she's got the chance, but Lenny's thrown 2 or 3 down this spot, and every time it's felt like they've overcurled. Will she make this one? Long raise takeout attempt for Lenny Nielsen of Denmark.
Oh, got to get past the front. Get through. They're through. Pick that yellow out.
Great shot by
like
Lenny
that
Nielsen
to score. Not just avoid the steal, but it is 4 and handshakes just like that. Lenny Nielsen comes up with a pistol.
Wow. All or nothing there for Denmark. 15-foot raise takeout through a port. They were leaking water, but boy, oh boy, they've sealed it up. Look at this, a tight port to navigate. Bang, straight back, picks off the Japanese stone, and Denmark with a huge count of 4, but so close to catastrophe, almost wrecking on that guard. Had to sweep that one coast to coast, but arms in the air for Lenny Nielsen. 4 points in victory. So Denmark goes to 2-2, and Japan, suffering their first loss of the tournament, they fall to 3-1. Well, an entertaining contest. Japan struggling early. Happy smiles for the fans back home in Denmark for this Danish team, taking this one 11-4. This one had a little bit of everything. Denmark with the early advantage, capitalizing on some early Japanese misses. And we'll take a break and be right back here at the Ford Worlds. Appreciative crowd here at the Credit Union Iplex. There we saw our feature game. The game had a bit of everything. Denmark versus Japan. Japan came in 3-0, but Denmark held the advantage. But then all of a sudden, the Japanese fight back. Japanese stone in the back of the button behind cover. Danish skip Lenny Nielsen trying to draw down to it to save her point. But that one sits out wide and just fractionally heavy. And Japan starts the road back to try and climb the mountain. Huge deficit they're facing, but a steal of 1 for Japan. Then on the 7th, now Japan's lying 2. Nielsen again, trying to make a double, but jams it. And it's back-to-back steals for Japan, and all of a sudden Lenny Nielsen's wondering what's going on, but then in the 8th end, plenty of stones out front. Very difficult, long run-back attempt. Through the narrowest of ports, just squeaks it by, and watch this, bing! Out goes the Japanese stone. 4 points and victory for the Danes. Japanese conceding, and Denmark takes it out 11-4.
Other scores here in this draw. As you saw the end, Russia runs Canada to stones, wins 6-3. The U.S. does the same against Italy to win 5-3, and Swiss run Finland out in 10 to win 9-6.
And the net result of that, Luke, is it's a wide open tournament. Look at that. We've got 3 teams now sharing the top of the table. Canada, Japan, Russia, Switzerland, all on 3-1. Germany and Scotland on 2-1. They'll be coming up in this next draw. Denmark levels their record at 2-2. Korea, Sweden on 1-2. Finland, United States, and Italy looking for their first win. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage here from the Credit Union Iplex here in Swift Current, Saskatchewan. Join us again on World Curling TV.
Lene, congratulations. How important was that win for you looking at the standings?
Very important. Every win here is important, but we've come off a couple of very close games. And now I feel like we're playing better and better, and today I think we deserved it. We play a lot of great shots out there, and keep believing in it.
You got off to a great start in this game, but did the game against Canada, where you had the same lead, get into your mind at all?
No, I don't think so. We don't really think about the past games that much when we're out there. We've already talked about what happened against Canada. But today we just had a bit of difficulties building up the ends, and we struggled a bit with the weight, and our draws wasn't perfect, so if you could just come around them, and then you have trouble.
And making a couple of key shots in the 4th to score 3, and then that big shot in 8, how nice was it to get off the ice early and not play a full game?
Oh, it's always nice. It's a long week here, and we have a game later today, so. But every win is important. If you go 11 or just decent, it's the same.
Congratulations, best of luck.
Thank you.